Morning dear learners, welcome to teaching learning session. Today we will discuss about qualities and skills of an effective salesperson. Right, we started discussing about the sales management, how sales management is very important. Sales is the only part of the organization which earns revenue for the organization. It is the part which is responsible for the profits of the organization. When it is the only part which earns revenue for the organization, there should be some qualities and skills of an effective salesperson, because salesperson plays a very important role in sales. So what all should be the qualities and skills of an effective salesperson? Ability to assess the customer's needs and desire. Right, it is very important that salesperson should be able to assess the customer needs, what the customer wants, what is the requirement of the customer, so that as per the needs and desires of the customer, salesperson can show the product if available. Right, then the ambition, salesperson should be ambitious. Right, then appearance of salesperson plays a very important role. See, there is one rule that that appearance plays an important role. Why? Because of that physical appearance. Physical appearance plays an important role in getting attentions. If you want to get attentions of the customer, then it is required that you should be well groomed, or your appearance should be appealing. Then business sense. Salesperson should have a business sense. They should know, they should be well versed about their products. Right, they should be able to handle the problems of the customer or the questions of the customers with courtesies. Creativity, that salesperson should be creative enough that they should be able to mold their presentation as per the needs or as per the wants of the customer. They should be creative enough. Then their curiosity, that salesperson should be curious. Enthusiastic, it is required that the salesperson should be enthusiastic, motivated. If the salesperson is enthusiastic, if they shows the enthusiasm about their product, if they talk to the customer enthusiastically, that the energy transfers from one object to the another object, then it will impact the customer too. Right, so enthusiasm plays a very important role. Right, so salesperson should be enthusiastic. The quantitative ability, then comes the flexibility. Salesperson should be flexible enough, should be able to mold himself or herself as per the customer. Then friendliness, it is required that salesperson should be friendly, so that customer can share their wants, their needs, their desires, right, with the salesperson, and if they have any queries or questions, they can ask their questions from the salesperson. So the salesperson should be friendly. Because of this friendliness, it creates a bond between the customer and salesperson, and indirectly between the organization and the customer. A writing ability should have a very good writing ability. Integrity should be there. That salesperson should be loyal to the organization, and should have interest in jobs. Salesperson should be knowledgeable enough so that they could handle the queries of the customers in a well-defined manner. Should be loyal, should have mental abilities, and motivated. All these are required that a salesperson should have. There is a difference between the personal selling and direct marketing. What are the differences between the personal selling and the direct marketing? Personal selling is an active type of a selling, while direct marketing is passive type of a selling. Right, so personal selling focuses on the customers, while direct marketing focuses on the product, right? So personal selling is customer, as we all know that selling is customer oriented, while we discussed about it in a previous lecture, while marketing is product oriented. So personal selling is customer oriented, while direct marketing is customer oriented, right? So personal selling has a limited reach, while direct marketing have massive reach. That in personal selling, the message is personalized type of the message, because there is a one-to-one type of a contact, right? So message is personalized type of a message, while in direct marketing, message is not personalized type of a marketing, because it covers the masses. It has a massive reach. Then personal selling, selling to a particular customer personally, that is the personal selling. When you are selling your product to a particular customer, that is known as the personal selling. Like insurance, when you are selling your insurance to a particular person as per the needs and the requirements of the customer, then that is the personal selling. Then again, the needs or the wants or the situations of another customer could be different. When you are selling your product personally to one customer, that is known as the personal selling, right? While direct selling is selling product directly to the people. This personal selling involves the salesperson convinces the customer to purchase their product. In this personal selling, the salesperson plays a very important role, because they convinces the people to purchase their product, while in direct marketing we use emails, we use coupons, we use SMS or texting campaign, right? We use social media programs, we use flyers, newsletters, catalogs, brochures, etc. So in direct marketing, in personal selling, that salesperson plays a very important role. They try to convince the people, while in direct marketing we use different type of the tools like email, brochures, leaflets, campaign, social media and all those things. In personal selling, the relationship with customer is important, while in direct marketing, no personal relationship is required in this direct marketing. It is about the instant, while the direct marketing is about the instant gratification. So these are the basic differences between personal selling versus direct marketing. There are the significance of personal selling. Why we should company opts for this personal selling? What is the significance, or what are the significance of this personal selling? Personal selling implements the marketing strategies. Actually, personal selling, that they toe the line of marketing, they toe the strategies of marketing as per the market. Sales and marketing goes hand in hand. So personal selling toe the lines of marketing. Then personal selling brings the sales revenue to the company. So it is very important. Why personal selling is important? What is the significance of personal selling? That it toe the lines of the marketing strategy, as well as it brings revenue to the organization. Personal selling makes the organization known or is being recognized. So personal selling makes the organization known or is being recognized. Say in case of industrial products, right? If you are making the industrial product, then this personal selling plays an important role. This personalized selling make the organization known or is being recognized. While all organizations are known in the target market through their sales staff, such companies invariably do not advertise. So in personal selling, this plays a very important that is in organizations. All the organizations are known in the target market through their sales staff. Like in industrial product, specifically in case of industrial products, is for an example of this, take an example of the industrial product, right? All organizations are known in the target market, right? All organization knows others, they know they are known in the target market, then they are known in the target market through their sales staff, right? And such companies invariably do not advertise. They do not advertise about their product. They actually sell them personally. That staff, selling staff plays an important role in maintaining the relationship with the customers. Personal selling creates and maintain the customer as an asset, right? So they helps in maintaining the relationship with the customer. All these are the significances of the personal selling. That's why personal selling is very important. The sales representative is the best overall manager of his territory. He has the responsibility of maintaining the current business as well as developing a new business. So it is the responsibility of the business, of the salesperson, to maintain the customer and to target the new customer. It is a sales. Personal selling is a source of feedback, right? At times when the sales staff come in contact with the customer, they come to know about the good and the bads about the product or the organization. So it is a source of a feedback. Personal selling makes a new product launch successful. Personal selling is very important and impactful in launch of a new product. So they make the launch of a new product successful. So all these are the significances. When there are so many significances, right? So it is important to how important is the personal selling is. We can make out this thing. There are various theories of selling. What are the theories of selling? There are theories like Ada's theory, right side of circumstances theory, buying formula theory, and behavioral equation theory. What is Ada's theory? This theory is based on the premise that during a sales presentation, the prospect consciously goes through the 5 different stages. What are these stages? That the prospect or the customer goes through the 5 different stages. That is the attention, interest, desire, action, and satisfaction. So this is Ada's theory. Attention is what? The salesperson, it is important that salesperson should attract the prospect to his presentation before he actually goes into the details of the presentation. This is to ensure that the prospect become receptive to the presentation. So it is important why before demonstrating or before presenting about your product or before starting with your thing, it is important to grab the attention of the prospect so that they could be receptive to the customer, to your presentation, and it is responsibility of a salesperson to grab the attention of the prospect. Then the interest. After getting the attention, it is important that the salesperson should be aware of the interest, likes, dislikes, attitudes, and motivation of the prospects, and should proceed with the presentation keeping in view all these factors. See, if you have grabbed the attentions, but it is very important to maintain that attention and to create the interest in your presentation. So to maintain the interest or create the interest in the presentation, it is required that the person should be aware about the interest, about the likes, dislikes, attitude, and other things, right? And should make the presentation keeping all these things in views. Then comes desire, right? Desire is what? The salesperson should consciously try to bring the prospect into this stage of readiness to the point of buying his product. After presenting, after grabbing the attention and then creating an interest, it is required that salesperson should bring the prospect to that point where they can create, where there should be a desire to purchase the project. He should concentrate projecting the benefits of how they can do it by concentrating or by defining or by describing the benefits of the product to the prospect, right? He can go, even the salesperson can go to the extent of presenting the benefits according to the motivation of the prospects. The salesperson should also prepare to anticipate the resistance to his sales presentation in terms of objections or questions from the project. Not only that, he should be prepared with the several answers and give explanations to the objections. That is how they can create the desires. Desire is bringing the prospect to the point where there should have be where there is a desire to buy the product, where there is a readiness to buy the product. It could be done through the presentation, it could be done through the describing the benefits about the product, it could be done through handling the objections or queries positively. You can create a desire. Then the next step is action. Action is what? Action is that the salesperson should induce the prospects into actually buying the product. After creating the desire, that it is the salesperson's responsibility to induce the prospect into actually buying the product. It becomes an important task of a salesperson to help in prospects in taking a final decision. Even after the desires, there could be some ifs and buts in the mind of the customer. So it is the responsibility of the customer, right, to help them in taking the final decisions. Then comes the satisfaction. Once the prospect has placed the order, the salesperson should ensure that the prospects can carry the impression that are having the right decisions, right. So say action, that is, if there is any if and but after desire, if there is any if and but, then it is responsibility of the customer, of the salesperson to help them to reach to the final decision. Suppose if someone wants that product, then if because of cost they are saying no, then it could be extra discount for you, or will give you this gift or that gift. There could be the many ways that a salesperson, as per the rules and policy, can take the decisions. Then after once the prospect has placed the order, it is responsibility of the salesperson to ensure that the prospects carries the impression of having taken the right decision. Say for example, by stating you made a right decision, this product will suit you, this product will help you, it's a wise decision that you have taken this thing. So this is the way how the salesperson plays an important role in satisfaction. The salesperson should also ensure that the delivery of the order takes place within the time promised and all other promises are kept. And the salesperson should try to keep in touch with the prospect and should inquire about their satisfaction, performance of the product, so that this, by keeping in touch with the customer, it creates a bond or a relationship between the organization and the salesperson, and this is how the customer can become the loyal customer, right. So this is ADA's theory, that is action, action, desire, that is attention, desire, attention, interest, desire, action and satisfaction. Now there is another theory of sales, that is the right set of circumstances theory. As per this theory, everything was right for sales. That sums up this theory. Everything was right for the sales. It is the crux of this theory. The advocate of this theory opine that all the circumstances which led to sales were appropriate or right for the sales have taken place. So as per this theory, all the circumstances which led to the sales were appropriate, were right for sales to have taken place. If the salesperson is successful in securing the prospect's attention, maintaining his interest and inducing his desire to buy the product, sales will result. Moreover, if the salesperson is highly skilled, he will take control of the presentation, which would lead to the sales. So as per this theory, all circumstances are perfect circumstances for the sales, right. If salesperson is successful in securing the prospect's attention and maintaining the interest and inducing his desire to buy the product, the sales will result. And if the salesperson is highly skilled, he will control the presentation, which would lead to this sales. No circumstances were different or not as per the all circumstances. As per this, all circumstances are right circumstances for sales. Then comes the buying formula theory. What is this buying formula theory? In this theory, the emphasis is on the buyer. The theory emphasizes that the needs or the problem of the buyer, the salesperson assists the buyer in finding an appropriate solution to the problem. This solution may be in term of product or services. So in this buying formula theory, thus that it emphasizes on what? It emphasizes on the buyers, right? As per this theory, that the needs or the problem of buyer is very important, and the salesperson should assist in finding the appropriate solution to the problem, right? The theory emphasizes on the factor internal to the prospects and the factor also external factor that influences the prospect decisions to buy the product. This theory is based on presumption that the salesperson will take care of the external factor. So in this theory is emphasizes on the buyers, right? And this theory, as per this theory, that the salesperson assists the buyer in finding out the appropriate solution for the needs of the customer or the problem of the customer. This theory emphasizes on the internal as well as the external factors which influences the prospect's decision. And as per this theory, the presumption is that the salesperson will take care of the external factors, right? Like that there is a need for the problem, right? That need will lead to product or services. As per the need, they will show the product or the services. Then comes the trade name, if they want any trade name type of a thing, and this would lead to the purchases and then the self satisfaction, right? So trade name is a pleasant feeling, and the product and the services should give a pleasant feeling to the customers. Personal selling, there is a process of personal selling. So these were the theories of sales. Personal selling, there is a process of personal selling. What all steps include in this personal selling process? The first is prospecting and qualifying. Then the second step is pre-approach. Third step is approaching the prospect. Another step is sales presentation and demonstration. Then negotiation, sales resistance or buyer's objection, closing the sales and follow up the servicing the account, right? So personal selling process includes prospecting and qualifying. It is very important that you should be aware who could be your target customer, right? Prospecting and qualifying, it is important that you should knock at the door, you should knock the customer through various platform, and you should know who could be your target customer or the prospect customer, who could be able or who needs your product, right? So it is very important. First is personal selling or prospecting and qualifying, that is defining your target customer. Then pre-approach is the prospect for initial calls. Sell the sales call appointment to the prospect through pre-notification. See, set the sales call appointment with the prospect, then gather and analyze the information about the prospect, conduct the problem need assessment of the prospect, identify the product feature, advantage, benefits likely to be the most interest to the prospect with the main focus on the benefits. Select the best presentation and demonstration strategies for the prospect and plan and rehearse your approach to the prospects. So this is pre-approach. First is prospecting and qualifying, identify your target audience. Then how the pre-approach is set a call with your target audience, with your target customer, right? Make an appointment, gather the information about the prospect, right? Identify the product feature, their advantages, right? Select the best presentation. How will you present yourself or your product? How will you demonstrate the product or about the organization to the prospect? Then plan and rehearse your approach to the prospect. Then approaching the prospect. After doing this, approach the prospect, meet the prospect, right? Give their demonstration, try to understand their needs, wants, and as per their needs, as per their wants, right? Give your presentation, right? Then sales presentation and demonstration. You have given the sales presentation and demonstration, and salesperson should try to convince the customer by telling the benefits of the products and the services. Then comes the negotiating the sales resistance or buyer's objection. After the sales presentation, if buyer has some resistance or some questions or queries or objections, right, that the salesperson should be able to handle them quietly, calmly, right? And it is important that salesperson should have a thorough knowledge about the product and should be able to handle the objections raised by the customers or the prospect. Then closing the sales. After negotiating the sales resistance or buyer objection, right, it is important that you should close the sales. That is, closing the sales is help the customer in taking the negotiation. Sales is you are increasing, you are creating a desire, right? Closing the sales is help them to take the action so that they can take a positive decision, and so that the prospect should end up taking the product or the services. Close the sales, right, and follow up and service the account. After closing the sales, after making the sales, it is required that salesperson should follow up with the customer so that they could know whether the customer is satisfied or not, and this makes a relationship. This helps in making a relationship with the customer, right, and servicing the accounts. So all these are the steps, all these were the steps for sales. Communication skills. What is communication skill? The communication is derived from the Latin word commune, means common, and communication is an exchange of information between the sender, receiver via common media. Both understanding and meaning should be same. What is communication? Communication is derived from the Latin word, that is commune, right, which means common. And communication, how we can define the communication? Communication is exchange of information between sender and receiver via common media. Both understanding and meaning should be same, right? That it is required. What is required for communication? That you should have, what we need a sender, we need a receiver, and information to exchange between the sender and receiver. And what is important is via common media, that media should be same. And it is important, the most important thing about communication is both understanding and meaning should be same. Whatever I wanted to convey you should be conveyed to you. You should not misunderstood that, otherwise it will be a miscommunication. Both understanding and meaning should be same. In marketing, communication has very important place, no doubt. Communication plays a very important role. Communication is that function of marketing which is involved with the task of informing the target customer. Communication plays a very important role in marketing because through communication you inform about your presence, about your organization, about your services, about your target, about your product to the target customer. about the nature and type of the firm's product and services. You inform the target customer about the nature and the type of the firm's product and services. What are the unique benefits and uses and feature of the product or the services, the price of the services, and the place at which product would be available in the market, right. So, all these you communicate to the target customer, and the communication plays a very important role in marketing. Marketing is nothing but the communication, proper communication with the customer. There are two aspects of marketing communication: the type of message to be communicated and the ways in which message can be delivered to the target audience or communication to the customers. So, there are actually two aspects of marketing communication. The first is the type of a message you want to communicate to the customer and ways in which the message can be delivered to the customer or target customer. Type of message to be communicated to the audience depends upon the objective to be attained by the team, by the organization. The objective set by the marketing team revolve around increasing the awareness of the product or new customer base or the sales growth. So, what type of message would you like to communicate to the audience? It depends on the objective and the main objective is to increase the awareness of the product or to gain the new customer or to increase the sales growth. And the type of message to be communicated to the audience for the each of audience for each of these objective is different. It also requires the different modes of communication delivered. So, personal selling is also a mode of communication with the customer to derive sales. So, there are two ways to communicate. There are the two aspects of marketing communication: the type of communication and ways in which message has been delivered. So, the type of message you want to deliver depends on upon the objective of the team or the organization, and the modes. There could be various modes to communicate your messages, and personal selling is one of the way or one of the modes of communication with the customer to derive sales. Personal selling is mode of communication with customer to derive sales, right. So, personal selling is unique and different from mass communication mode. It is different. So, we all know that there are mass communication modes as well as the personal selling. Personal selling is one-to-one type of a selling when you want to communicate with one target customer or the prospect. Personal selling is unique and different from mass communication mode. It allows to get an immediate response from the customers. So, through personal selling, one comes to know about the immediate response of the customer, like purchase or likability towards the product or no purchase. Highly targeted customers are approached through personal selling. Whom we approach personally? Highly targeted customers, right, are approached through personal selling, where there are the more chances of sales. Highly targeted customers are approached through personal selling. Useful both in business to consumer and business to business scenarios. So, this personal selling is plays important role in B2B selling as well as B2C selling, right, that is business to customer or consumer or business to business, right. And now there are other ways, that is direct to consumer business model or a network marketing companies like Oriflame or Amway. This personal selling is there, that is direct or network direct to consumer. They directly go to the consumer or network marketing, right. They heavily rely on the personal selling for communicating with the customers. So, they rely on this personal selling. How communication works? What is the process of communication? What we need to communicate? Actually, we need a sender, we need a receiver, and we need a media and a message. This is the block diagram of communication. We need a sender, and sender sends an encoded message, and this encoded message passes through media, and it gets decoded at the sender's end, and then sender receives the message, right? Then the receiver sends an encoded feedback or message, and it passes through the same media, and then at sender's end this acknowledgement gets decoded, and then sender receives that acknowledgement. And there are many noises outside this. Important thing is, what do we need? We need a sender, we need a receiver, and we need a message and a media. That is the basic things. This is the process of communication. That is, communication is exchange of information between sender and receiver via common media. Both meaning and understanding should be same. It is basic concept of communication. What are the communication objectives in marketing domain? Importance of communication is many folds, right? Like context in marketing, communication could be in terms of persuading the customers, right? When you want to persuade the customer or just increase the product awareness amongst the customer, or to maintain the good customer relationship. So objective could be many. In marketing terms, the objective of communication could be many, like you communicate to persuade the customer, or to maintain the relationship, good relationship with the customer, or just to increase the product awareness amongst the customer. The objective could be many. See, as per marketing promotion, in context of marketing promotion, the communication objective is ADA model. That is, ADA stand for attention, that is creating awareness, interest, desire and action. And how you do it? Through communication. We discussed the ADA theory, right? That is attention. Through communication you can grab the attention, right? Through communication you can create an interest of customer in the product or in the presentation, right? Then through communication you can create the desire for the product or the services. Through communication you can persuade the customer to take actions, right? So this is important, that is attention or awareness or interest, desire and action or action. According to ADA model, the marketer should begin by winning attention or gaining the awareness, creating interest, desires and precipitating the action for the purchases in order to enable the product, right? So this is the objective of the communication. Through communication you can create awareness or grab the attention, create interest, generate interest, desires and the actions, helps in taking actions, right? Promotion and hierarchy of effect model. What is the hierarchy of effect stages? That is movement, forward, purchase, that is awareness, knowledge, linking, preference, conviction and the purchase, right? So promotion, that might be relevant to the various stages, right? So this is given, that is the hierarchy of effect model of communication, right? Then the communication objective in context of sales. What is the communication objective in with reference to sales? That is, sales calls primarily consist of 5 simple steps, that is opening the call, investigating the needs, giving benefits, objection handling and closing technique, and all this could be done through the communication, right? So personal selling with reference to the various text of context of communication, as per the AMA, that is the American Marketing Association, personal selling is oral presentation with one or more prospective customer for purpose of making sales. So you are delivering your message, you are conveying your message orally, right, to your customers, one or more customers for purpose of making sales. That is the use of communication in personal selling. It is also known as face to face selling, because you are communicating orally. When you are communicating orally, it is required that there should be both the seller and the prospect should be present, right? It is face to face selling, in which one person, who is the salesperson, tries to convince the customer in buying a product. Often company try to follow this approach with the customer to make them aware about the new product. Spreading awareness about a product and can also be done through person to person approach. Actually companies opt this thing when they want to make the customer about the new product, or when they want to spread the awareness about the product. Personal selling can take place through different channels, like through retail or direct to customer channels, right? Like retail or direct to customer channels. In retail channel, set up a salesperson interact with the potential customer who walks into the store, and this also called an indoor personal selling. So this personal selling, right, they communicate that personal selling takes place in two different channels, that is retail channel. In retail channel, whenever customer enters into the retail store, salesperson attends that person, that prospects, right, and communicate with the prospect, try to understand the wants and the need of the customer, and then again try to show the product as per the requirement of the customer, right? So the salesperson interacts with the potential customer in retail scenario. As per the direct channel, salesperson visits the potential customer at their suggested place, and to either to make them aware about a new product or to do the cross selling, that is known as the direct channel. Like in direct channel, say the salesperson, like in case of Amway and the Oriflame, that the salesperson visits to the personal customer at the suggested place to make them aware about the product or to do the cross selling. See, it is very important to understand what is to be accomplished in communication. While you are communicating with the in a given situation, it is important to understand what communication skills are required to understand the requirement of communication in a given situation, right? Understand what is to be accomplished, the goals, objective, deliverable required to be set each time one communicates, right? So while you are communicating your goals, your objective, you should be aware about your goals and your objective. Knowing what one is seeking to accomplish will impact the communication strategy, structure and delivery mechanism. So it is required to understand what is accomplished, like the goals, objectives, deliverable required to set each time one communicates. Then creating perception of concern. The person on the other side of a communication will respond better if they sense that the other party is seriously engaged, concerned and involved in purpose substances of communication involved. So it is important to involve the other party if you really want to communicate well. Then the networking skills are required. It increases the networking skills is what? That is, networking is increasing the social net worth of an individual in a business setting. It involves having both the internal and external professional relationship and acquaintances both with the stakeholder and the non-stakeholder. So it is required that you should, in personal selling, you should create a relationship, communicate with your customers, whether the potential customer or already customer. Then it is storytelling plays a very important role in communication, building the stories, case studies and analogies to communicate often the sender to be more believable. It is effective visualization process to create a mental map, right? So it this storytelling that engages the audience and retains the impact of communication after a long message has been delivered. Then the persuasion and selling capabilities. Selling and persuasion are closely related skill set, right? So persuasion is to push that is latently provided to allow stakeholder to pursue the idea, decision or action. It involves planting a seed in the mind of audience which encourages them to take the idea of their own accord. A sales which is result of persuasion involves active decision making by other party. So selling and persuasions are related, right? So the sales which results in which is a result of persuasion involves in active decision making by the other party, right? So persuasion is what is a push that is latently provided to allow stakeholder to pursue an idea. That is the persuasion, when you say that this is good, right? Communication skill sets required to deliver the message, right? There are when you want to deliver the message effectively, there are certain communication skill set required, that face to face communication, speaking and verbal skills, non-verbal skills all plays a very important role, right? Verbal skills and non-verbal skills basically plays very important role. What is verbal skills? What is verbal communication? Verbal communication is when you say something orally, that is known as the verbal communication. Non-verbal communication, what you say is important, but what you don't say is even more important. When you say many things without saying even a single word, that is known as the non-verbal skills or non-verbal communication, right? We know that do you know that the verbal communication, that there is a value of verbal communication and non-verbal communication. The value of verbal communication is just 7%, and the verbal communication is synchronous type of communication. Synchronous type of communication means that it is required that both sender and receiver should present at the same time, right? And it is actually one-to-one type of communication. So in selling, in personal selling, this verbal communication plays a very important role. It is because it is a synchronous type of communication. It is required that both the seller, the salesperson, as well as the that is the customer or the prospective customer should present at the same time, and one salesperson at a time attends maximum one of the customer. It is one-to-one type, or one group attends a individual customer, or can attend a one group of individual who have similar type of needs, right? So it is one-to-one type of communication, right? Non-verbal communication, the value of non-verbal communication varies from 54 to 57%, right? Non-verbal communication includes many things, and it plays a very important role, right? In personal selling. Non-verbal communication involves like your body language, right? Your facial expressions, then your paralanguage. Paralanguage is your tone of voice, your pitch of voice, which matters a lot in your personal selling. Your facial expression matters a lot, right? Then your facial, then your body language plays a very important role. Through body language, one can understand, one can read the mind of the customer, and the customer can read the mind of the salesperson, whether that salesperson is confident enough or not, right? Facial expressions, tone of voice, that is paralanguage, right? Then comes your there are certain signs and symbols which plays a very important role in non-verbal communication, and all these things, verbal and the non-verbal communication skills, plays a very important role in personal selling, right? Negotiation skills. What all are negotiation skills? Negotiation skills can be defined as a process of resolving conflict between two or more parties, where both or all modify their demands to achieve mutually acceptable solution. Negotiation, quite common term. What is negotiation? Negotiation is what? It is a process of resolving conflict between two parties. When there is a conflict between the two parties, then negotiation is a process to resolve the conflict between two parties, where both parties modify their demands to achieve their mutually acceptable a mutually acceptable solution, right? So in this, when there is a conflict between the two parties, the negotiation goes between the two parties, negotiates their demands. Both the parties, usually both the parties modify their demands so that both the parties can achieve the mutually acceptable solution. Both the parties could be in win-win situation. So it is a process of conflict. When there is a process of conflict, that is, negotiation is that is a process of resolving a conflict between the two parties by modifying the demands of both the parties to achieve mutually acceptable solution. Negotiation doesn't mean persuading the other to accept our offer. Rather, we should listen to other and in their proportion, if possible, modify one stand or suggest or guide other to modify their demand, right? So negotiation doesn't mean that we persuade other to accept our offer or modify their offer only. It is important to listen to other and as per the propositions, right, if possible, modify the one stands, modify our stand or suggest or guide the other to modify their demands, so that we can modify our demand as well as can guide them to modify their demand. Through negotiation, we try to reach the mutually acceptable compromise to solve the problem. So through negotiation, both the parties try to reach to the some solution, mutually acceptable solution to solve the problem, right? What is difference between the selling and negotiation? Selling can be described as a process of identifying the customer and then getting through to them and persuading them to act or accept the proposition, while negotiation is a process of getting the best term once the other side start to act on their interest. So selling is what? Process of identifying the customer, getting through them and persuade them to act or accept the proposition, while negotiation is what? Is a process of getting the best term once the other side start to act to their interest, right? So it is the process of getting the best term when other side start showing the interest, right? So there is a negotiation continuum. What is that? Negotiation involves movement of both the parties, right? It is required that both the parties should move. In negotiation, we must have somewhere to move from and somewhere to move to. We move from our ideal position to a settlement point that is acceptable to both the parties. So it is required that both the parties should move from one side and reach to that point which point is acceptable to both the parties. Our opponent also does exactly the same. It is relatively bargaining strength and skills of the negotiator that decides the position of the settlement points. So settlement point is actually depends on the bargaining strength or the skills of the negotiator. So that point is defined actually by the negotiator, bargaining strength and the skills. There are the steps of negotiation like prepare, discuss, propose and bargain. These are the steps of negotiation. Like prepare, the first step is prepare, that is assess the objective, yours objectives and theirs objective. What do you want to object and what they want to achieve, what are their objectives. Then decides on the area of possible flexibility. Then try to find out where there are the chances of flexibility so that both can achieve their objectives. So try to find out, prepare or decide the areas of possible flexibility. Plan approach and sequence of events, right? This third step of prepare is, that is, plan an approach and sequence of event. How will you approach and what will be the sequence of events of the negotiation, whether you would step by step, there should be a step by step negotiation process, that first we will move from this position to that position, later on from this to that, and further. That is plan and prepare the sequence of event. Then the next step of negotiation is discuss. And this step, discuss, exchange the positions and issues, right? It is important to that there should be discussion between the two parties, create a positive working climate. Then the climate, the environment should be, in the environment in which both the parties are discussing should be positive, that both should have their mindset that they want to achieve their objective, right? And listen carefully and question thoroughly. Discuss it. While you are discussing, listen others. At times we listen to answer, but it is important listen for the sake of listening. Listen carefully, and then discuss your questions or doubts. If you have any, discuss it thoroughly. After listening, after discussions, next step comes is propose. What is this step? Specify what you want. So after discussion, after discussions, or when you know what the other wants and what is your requirement, then comes what you want. Now propose what you want, right? Whether at what conditions, or what conditions would you like to negotiate or crack the deal. Seek the compromise, get a win-win if possible, right? Try to come to that position which should be win-win for both the parties. Remember optimum and fallback position, right? So it is important that you should remember the optimum. This is what maximum we can do, and from this point we will go back, that we cannot further go ahead of this from this point. So remember the optimum and feel back point. Then bargain. Then comes the bargain. Ask for what you want, modify if you need, right? So at this point it is important that you should bargain what you want, and in return what will they give you and you will give them, right? Do not concede without exchanging, right? Bargain is like, bargaining is, if we will do this, you will do that. Do not concede without exchanges. There should be exchange and reiterate the value of your solution. So these are the steps of negotiation: prepare, discuss, propose, and bargain, right? There are the negotiation strategies. The first is the strike back strategy. What is strike back strategy? In these strategies, one respond to the customer in same tone and language as he is doing to the seller. Occasionally striking back will show your prospect that you can also play the same game and will make him stop. But more often this strategy will land you in futile and costly confrontation. So basically strike back is the way customer is responding you, in the same way if you will respond, you can do that, but again this strategy will land you in futile and costly confrontations. Then comes the give-in strategy. Many times your customer may succeed in making you feel so uncomfortable with the negotiation that you give in just to be done with that, right? That is given. That is when the customers negotiate in a way that you just give in, that you do as per the wishes of the customer. Giving result is an unsatisfactory outcomes, especially for you, right? At times customer wants something at lower price, say for example, which is not suitable for you, but at times you feel like, okay, fine, as per your wish I'll give you at this cost. The results could be unsatisfactory, especially for the seller. Giving is also gives you reputation of weakness that your opponent and other may try to exploit in the future. So this could give a feeling to the opponent that they can exploit you in future. This is given strategy. Then break off strategy could be there. Break off strategy is what at times the negotiation process can come to such a stage that avoidance is perfectly appropriate strategy. Sometimes it is better to end a business relationship if continuing means being taken advantage of or getting into fights again and again, but the cost of breakup are high. Then break off strategy is if both the parties are not able to reach to some middle point, or not able to negotiate, or not able to reach some point which are acceptable to both the parties, right? Then it is important to break off, but the cost of break off are actually high, right? There are certain principles of negotiation and we will discuss about these principles in our next lecture. Thank you very much. Namaskar.